Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question that might sting a little. Do you give up on your dreams just because you're tired every day? Being tired is proof of progress, not defeat, because every single step you take toward your goals requires energy, focus, and effort, and naturally that effort drains you. The exhaustion you feel after pushing through the day is not a signal to stop chasing your dreams, but rather a sign that you are actively engaged in the process of building them. Tiredness comes as a result of movement, and movement is evidence that you are not stuck. When you choose yourself, when you make the decision to prioritize your dreams, your growth, and your future over temporary comfort, the tiredness you feel transforms into proof that you are on the right track. Many people confuse exhaustion with failure. They believe that if they are drained, it means they are not strong enough or not capable enough. But in reality, fatigue is a natural response to stretching your limits. When you choose yourself, you begin to understand that being tired is the tax you pay for growth. Muscles get sore after a workout, not because you are weak, but because you are getting stronger. In the same way, your mind and spirit feel tired after putting in the work toward your goals, because you are stretching them beyond what is easy and familiar. Choosing yourself means acknowledging that your dreams matter more than momentary excuses. It means deciding that your vision for the future deserves more commitment than your desire for immediate rest. Being tired should never be mistaken for being finished. Instead, you can see it as a milestone that tells you, yes, you are moving forward, yes, you are putting in the work, and yes, you are building a life that reflects your potential. When you ignore the voice that says give up, and instead lean into the voice that says keep going, you are proving to yourself that your dream matters more than your comfort zone. The real danger is not exhaustion, but the mindset that convinces you to interpret exhaustion as defeat. The moment you flip that belief, everything changes. Progress requires energy, and every step you take will cost something. But when you are choosing yourself, you stop seeing the cost as a burden and start seeing it as an investment. You are investing your time, your focus, and your energy into creating a version of your life that aligns with who you are meant to be. Tiredness is part of the price of progress, and once you embrace it, you stop fearing it. You realize that every late night spent working, every early morning waking up, every sacrifice of comfort is proof that you are investing in yourself rather than wasting your days drifting. When you feel tired, instead of asking why, you remind yourself of what it means. It means you are building something. It means you are not stagnant. It means you are fighting for your future. Choosing yourself also means learning how to rest, not quit. Rest is a tool, a pause to recharge, but quitting is abandoning your dreams because of temporary discomfort. The two are not the same. Progress requires balance, and part of choosing yourself is allowing moments to recover so that you can come back stronger. But never mistake rest for surrender. When you quit because you are tired, you deny yourself the chance to experience the transformation waiting on the other side of persistence. When you rest because you are tired, you respect your humanity while still honoring your commitment to your goals. Every time you choose yourself in the face of fatigue, you build resilience. You prove that your dreams are worth more than temporary feelings, and that resilience compounds over time into unshakable confidence. The world does not reward those who quit at the first sign of exhaustion. The world rewards those who recognize exhaustion as part of the journey and keep showing up anyway. Each time you push through, you train your mind to believe that tiredness is not the end, but the signal that you are in the middle of transformation. That mindset is what separates those who achieve extraordinary things from those who give up when the road gets heavy. Being tired is proof of progress, not defeat, because it shows you are moving beyond what is easy. When you choose yourself, you see exhaustion not as a reason to stop, but as a reason to keep going. Because the only people who do not feel tired are the ones who are standing still. Tiredness means you are alive in the process of becoming, and when you keep choosing yourself through it, you give yourself permission to transform dreams into reality. Don't confuse fatigue with failure, not defeat, because fatigue is the natural byproduct of effort, while failure is the consequence of surrender. Feeling exhausted does not mean you have lost, it only means you have been pushing, stretching, and reaching for something beyond your current limits. When you confuse the two, you rob yourself of progress by mislabeling a temporary state as a permanent outcome. Fatigue simply signals that you are human, that you have been using your energy to move closer to your goals. Failure only enters the picture when you allow that temporary tiredness to convince you to give up altogether. Choosing yourself in those moments means recognizing the difference refusing to let weariness trick you into thinking you are weak, and instead seeing it as evidence that you are still in the game. Many people stop chasing their dreams the moment fatigue hits because they believe exhaustion is proof that they are not cut out for the journey. That belief is what destroys potential. When you choose yourself, you understand that fatigue is part of the process of growth. No one builds strength without resistance. No one builds stamina without pushing past comfort. No one achieves their dream without paying the price of temporary weariness. Choosing yourself means accepting that fatigue is not a threat to your success, but a companion along the way. It is a signpost reminding you that progress costs energy, but that energy spent is never wasted. Failure is permanent, fatigue is temporary. Failure says you are done, fatigue says you are alive. Failure closes doors, fatigue means you are knocking on them. If you stop the moment you feel worn out, you are confusing a passing moment with the end of your story. Choosing yourself requires awareness, the awareness that rest is necessary, but quitting is destructive. Fatigue asks you to pause, to recharge, but never to abandon. Failure demands that you walk away. The two are not the same, and when you learn to separate them, you protect your dreams from being crushed by short-term discomfort. Think about it, some of the greatest achievements in history were born out of moments of deep exhaustion. Innovators, leaders, athletes, and creators all experienced fatigue, but they did not mistake it for failure. They understood that the human body and mind get tired, but their vision for the future had to be bigger than their desire for comfort. Choosing yourself means reminding yourself of why you started and understanding that the presence of fatigue proves you are moving, while the presence of failure only exists when you decide to stop moving. When you feel fatigue setting in, it is your chance to shift perspective. Instead of saying I am too tired, so I must not be capable, you reframe it as I am tired because I am doing the work that matters. That mental shift is what allows you to separate effort from defeat. Fatigue is part of effort. Defeat is the absence of effort. Choosing yourself means you decide every single day to keep going despite the tiredness, to rest when you need to, but never to confuse resting with quitting. That distinction is the key to resilience. Choosing yourself also means trusting yourself. It means believing that even when fatigue hits, you have the strength to continue tomorrow, the wisdom to pause when necessary, and the courage to start again after setbacks. Fatigue is not the end of the story, it is simply a comma in the sentence of growth. If you see it as a period, you stop too soon. If you see it as a comma, you understand there is more to come. Failure closes the book, but fatigue is just a chapter. Choosing yourself keeps the story alive. Don't confuse fatigue with failure, not defeat, because fatigue is part of the climb and failure is choosing not to climb at all. When you choose yourself, you learn that tiredness is not weakness but progress in disguise. You learn that pausing is not quitting but preparation. You learn that exhaustion is the shadow of effort, not the sign of defeat. And most importantly, you realize that your dreams are worth more than the temporary struggle of fatigue, because the true failure only happens when you let go of them completely. Dreams don't care if you're tired, not defeat, because the vision you hold for your life will never pause and wait for you to feel comfortable or fully energized. Dreams are demanding, and they require your commitment whether or not you feel ready. Fatigue is a normal part of the journey, but your dreams will not shrink themselves to match your energy levels on any given day. They remain constant, waiting for you to rise above your excuses and show up anyway. When you choose yourself, you make the decision to honor your goals, even when your body and mind tell you they would rather rest. That choice is what separates people who achieve their vision from those who let it slip away. Dreams are not defeated by tiredness, they are defeated by giving up. Every meaningful dream will test you. It will ask for your late nights, your early mornings, your mental focus, and your emotional resilience. Naturally, that level of effort will make you tired, but exhaustion does not mean you are incapable. It means you are investing your energy into something worthwhile. Too often, people confuse tiredness with a reason to stop, forgetting that dreams are not interested in how comfortable you feel. Dreams care only about how consistent you are. Choosing yourself in those moments means reminding yourself that the dream is bigger than the feeling of fatigue. It is not about waiting until you feel perfect. It is about acting even when you don't. When you think about anyone who has achieved extraordinary things, the common thread is not endless energy. They, too, felt tired, sometimes broken, sometimes ready to give up, but they didn't. They understood that the dream doesn't care if you are tired today, what matters is whether you can show up tomorrow. Fatigue is temporary. But giving up makes the dream permanently unreachable. Choosing yourself means deciding every single day that your dream deserves your persistence even when you feel drained. It is about giving yourself permission to rest but never permission to quit. Dreams don't wait for you to be comfortable. They demand sacrifice, consistency, and resilience. They ask you to show up when it is inconvenient, when your motivation is low, when you are worn out. That is why so few people achieve them, because they believe the dream should match their comfort level, when in truth, it is the other way around. Choosing yourself means adjusting your life to match the dream instead of expecting the dream to adjust to your excuses. When you push forward despite tiredness, you prove to yourself that your commitment is stronger than your circumstances. Fatigue is a signal of progress, not a sign of defeat, and when you see it through this lens, it stops being a reason to stop and becomes a reason to keep going. Each time you push past exhaustion, you strengthen your resilience and show your dreams that you are serious. Choosing yourself in those moments means valuing your long-term vision over your short-term comfort. It means holding yourself accountable to the life you want instead of letting fleeting emotions dictate your decisions. The reality is that dreams test how much you want them. They don't respond to words, they respond to action. They don't care about your promises when you're motivated, they care about your persistence when you're tired. Every step you take while exhausted sends a message that you refuse to be defeated. That's the moment when momentum builds, when transformation happens, when you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. Choosing yourself is about saying yes to that moment, again and again, no matter how tired you feel. Dreams don't care if you're tired, not defeat, because tiredness is a passing state, while dreams are a lasting vision. When you choose yourself, you separate the two. You understand that fatigue is not the end of the story but a part of it. You refuse to confuse temporary weariness with permanent loss. You keep moving because your dream deserves your effort regardless of your energy level. And in the end, when you achieve it, you will look back and realize that the tired nights and long days were not signs of weakness but proof of your dedication, proof that you chose yourself, and proof that your dream was worth every ounce of energy you gave. Everyone gets tired, but winners keep going, not defeat, because exhaustion is a universal human experience. Yet persistence is what separates those who succeed from those who surrender. Every person who has ever chased a dream, built a career, or transformed their life has faced the heavy weight of fatigue, but the difference lies in their response. Some people let tiredness convince them that the road is too long, the dream too far, or the work too hard, while others see it as proof that they are still in the fight. Choosing yourself means deciding that even when your energy is low, your commitment remains high. It means honoring the vision you hold for your future more than the temporary feelings of fatigue. Winners do not escape tiredness, they push forward despite it, and that decision is what makes them winners. Fatigue is not a sign of weakness, it is evidence of effort. The strongest athletes, the most innovative thinkers, the most successful leaders all feel the pull of exhaustion, yet they refuse to confuse it with defeat. The truth is, if you are tired, it means you have been working, stretching, and putting yourself into motion, and that is a victory in itself. But stopping at that point would waste the progress you've made. Choosing yourself is about refusing to waste the energy you've already invested. You tell yourself that since everyone feels tired, you will be the one who rises above it. That mindset becomes the edge that separates you from those who surrender when things get heavy. Winners are not people who never feel tired, they are people who decide that tiredness is not the end. They are willing to keep moving when the average person decides to stop. Every time you push through exhaustion, you reinforce the belief that your dreams matter more than your discomfort. Choosing yourself in that moment means valuing your vision more than your excuses. It means acknowledging the fatigue, but not letting it dictate the outcome. By doing so, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than temporary circumstances. Everyone faces moments when the body wants to quit, when the mind says it is enough, when the path feels endless. Those moments are not unique to you, they are part of the process. But the question is, do you give in, or do you dig deeper? Winners dig deeper. They see tiredness as a signal to pace themselves, not to abandon the journey. Choosing yourself in those moments means respecting the fact that you are tired while reminding yourself that the only way forward is to keep going. Rest is allowed, but quitting is not. That choice is what keeps the dream alive. Choosing yourself also means committing to consistency, because success is built not on bursts of energy, but on the daily decision to keep moving regardless of how you feel. Fatigue will visit you often, but the habit of persistence becomes stronger each time you refuse to let it stop you. Over time, this creates resilience, and resilience is the true hallmark of winners. Resilience is not about never falling down, it is about standing back up every time you do. Everyone gets tired, but not everyone chooses to rise after the exhaustion. Winners rise, again and again. The truth is, tiredness is temporary, but quitting makes the loss permanent. Choosing yourself is about keeping perspective. You remind yourself that fatigue will pass with rest, but regret will remain if you give up. Winners understand this deeply, which is why they keep pushing, knowing that their future self will thank them for enduring what felt impossible in the present. That's the mindset that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Everyone gets tired, but winners keep going, not defeat, because persistence is what defines success. Choosing yourself means deciding that your goals are worth the discomfort, that your dreams deserve your endurance, and that fatigue is not your enemy, but a companion on the road to growth. You understand that tiredness is universal, but persistence is rare, and it is in choosing yourself, again and again, that you join the ranks of those who don't just dream but achieve. Flip the script on tiredness, not defeat, because the way you interpret fatigue determines whether it becomes a barrier or a stepping stone. Tiredness in itself is neutral, it is the story you attach to it that gives it meaning. If you see it as proof that you cannot handle the journey, then it becomes defeat. But if you see it as proof that you are working, growing, and pushing your limits, then it becomes motivation. Choosing yourself means choosing the interpretation that empowers you instead of the one that weakens you. It means reframing exhaustion as evidence of progress rather than as a reason to quit. When you flip the script on tiredness, you transform it from an enemy into a teacher. The truth is that tiredness is unavoidable whenever you are chasing something meaningful. Any path that stretches you beyond your comfort zone will demand energy, discipline, and sacrifice. Naturally, that will leave you feeling worn out, but this does not mean you are defeated. It means you are alive in the process of becoming more than you were yesterday. When you flip the script, you begin to recognize that fatigue is not a signal to stop, but a signal that you are in motion. Choosing yourself in those moments is about refusing to let tiredness tell the wrong story about your ability and your future. So many people allow fatigue to convince them that they are not capable enough or not strong enough. But the reality is that fatigue often shows up right before a breakthrough. The hardest days usually come before momentum builds. Winners understand this truth, and that is why they do not let tiredness discourage them. They flip the script and remind themselves that exhaustion is evidence of effort. Choosing yourself means joining them in that mindset, refusing to surrender to the false narrative that tiredness equals defeat. Instead, you reframe it as part of the cost of growth. Flipping the script also means shifting from complaining to celebrating. Instead of saying I am tired so I should stop, you say I am tired because I am putting in the work that matters. That small shift changes everything because it reinforces your sense of control. It moves you out of the mindset of victimhood and into the mindset of ownership. Choosing yourself is about taking ownership of the story you tell yourself. You cannot always control how tired you feel, but you can always control what that tiredness means to you. If you see it as a badge of honor, it empowers you. If you see it as a defeat, it breaks you. Choosing yourself also means embracing the balance between rest and persistence. Flipping the script does not mean ignoring the need for recovery, it means respecting tiredness without letting it define you. Rest becomes a tool, not an excuse. Winners rest to recharge, not to retreat. They know that tiredness is temporary, but quitting makes regret permanent. By flipping the script, you remind yourself that rest is a strategy and fatigue is part of the journey, not the end of it. This perspective keeps you moving forward when others stop. The way you interpret tiredness builds either resilience or resignation. If you view it as weakness, you train yourself to quit whenever things get hard. If you view it as progress, you train yourself to persist no matter how you feel. Choosing yourself requires the latter. It means deciding that your dream is worth more than your comfort, and that the story you tell yourself in moments of fatigue will either propel you closer to your vision or pull you away from it. The story you choose is everything, and flipping the script is how you win that battle. Flip the script on tiredness, not defeat, because your dream does not disappear just because you are drained. Choosing yourself means refusing to let exhaustion become the reason you walk away from what matters most. It means taking control of the narrative, transforming fatigue into fuel, and seeing every moment of weariness as proof that you are still in the arena. The script you write in those moments defines your future, and when you choose to see tiredness as progress instead of defeat, you unlock the resilience to keep going until your dream becomes reality. Rest if you must, but never quit, not defeat. Because the journey to your dreams is not about never slowing down, it is about never stopping altogether. Every human being has limits, and pushing towards something meaningful will naturally bring moments when your body and mind cry out for relief. Rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. Quitting, however, is surrender. When you rest, you pause to recover so you can rise stronger, but when you quit, you abandon the vision entirely and close the door on what could have been. Choosing yourself means giving yourself permission to rest without guilt, but refusing to let that rest turn into permanent retreat. It is the balance between honoring your humanity and committing to your dream. The reality is that even the strongest, most successful people you admire take breaks. No one can run on empty forever, and trying to do so only leads to burnout. Rest is part of growth, because it allows your body to rebuild and your mind to reset. But quitting is a completely different story. Quitting says the dream no longer matters. Quitting says the temporary struggle is bigger than the long-term vision. Quitting says you are defeated, and that is the only real failure. Choosing yourself means understanding the difference and protecting your dream by using rest as fuel, not as an exit strategy. Resting if you must is an act of strength. It shows that you value yourself enough to recharge instead of breaking down. It shows that you respect the process enough to prepare for the next step instead of collapsing midway. But never quitting is an act of commitment. It shows that no matter how tired, discouraged, or challenged you feel, you are not willing to throw away what matters most. When you combine the two, resting without quitting, you create resilience. You give yourself the stamina to last the long journey instead of burning out early. Choosing yourself in this way is a promise that you will care for yourself while still pursuing your vision. Think about it like climbing a mountain. There are moments when you need to stop, catch your breath, drink water, and regain strength. Those pauses do not mean you are turning back. They mean you are preparing for the next climb. The danger comes when someone mistakes that pause for the end of the road. Quitting halfway up guarantees you never see the view from the top. Resting halfway up ensures you have the energy to finish. That is the difference between defeat and progress. Choosing yourself means choosing to see rest as strategy, not as surrender. Resting is also a form of discipline, because it prevents you from making rash decisions in moments of exhaustion. How many times have people quit because they were simply too tired, only to regret it later when their energy returned? Rest allows you to reset your perspective, to come back with clarity instead of making permanent choices in temporary states. Choosing yourself means trusting that fatigue is not the right time to make decisions about your future. It means allowing yourself to pause while holding firmly to the commitment that quitting is not an option. When you choose yourself, you start to realize that progress is not always about speed, but about consistency. You do not need to move at full pace every single day, you just need to keep moving forward overall. Resting is part of that rhythm. It is the inhale before the exhale, the quiet before the breakthrough. But quitting disrupts the rhythm entirely and ends the song before it is complete. Winners rest and rise again, while those who quit never see the finish line. That is why rest, when chosen wisely, is not defeat but preparation. Rest if you must, but never quit, not defeat, because dreams require both resilience and renewal. Choosing yourself means respecting your limits while refusing to abandon your purpose. It means giving yourself the grace to pause, but never the permission to stop permanently. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not the ones who never got tired, they are the ones who allowed themselves to rest but always came back stronger. By choosing yourself in this way, you ensure that every pause becomes fuel for progress, and that quitting never robs you of the future you are working to create.